Hitep family. I am your host and producer, Shay Shetta, and welcome to the Black History Channel. We have a very special guest with us today. Dr. Nicoline Ambi is an international speaker and #1 best-selling author of 7 books. She has taught in several elementary schools, colleges, and universities across Canada and the United States for the past 2 decades. Dr. Ambi has made numerous public television and radio appearances, including ABC, CBS, and NBC. She has given several keynotes and presentations to large and small audiences at conferences, school districts, schools, and churches to share her message of educational excellence and parent involvement. Dr. Ambi's primary mission is to help parents raise high achievers. Through teaching, speaking, and training, Dr. Ambi has helped many parents develop great relationships with their children, resulting in academic excellence. She believes that with the right structure and support at home, every child has the potential to excel in school and life. Welcome, Dr. Ambi.
Thank you, Shosheta.
Yes.
So nice to spend this evening with you.
Yes, we're so glad to have you here on the Black History Channel.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Cameroon, and I grew up there till I was 21 years old, and then got a scholarship to come out to Canada to pursue a master's degree. And I've been in the field of education for the last 20 years. Wow. I was a university professor for 10 years before becoming an elementary school teacher. Okay. So I've been teaching for the last 20 years. But prior to that, I always was a student. I have 4 degrees, a bachelor's degree, 2 master's degrees, and a PhD in law. So I always tell myself that I went to school and never left.
Yes.
So education is my passion, and I've been involved in the field of education as a student and as an educator.
So through your work, how do you teach parents to support their children through education?
Right. When I started teaching elementary school about 6 years ago, I was working with kids who had been designated as having a disability, quote unquote. But a lot of the kids, when I spoke to them, I got to know who they were, I shared conversations with them. I found out that they were normal children who were very smart, but probably needed a little more support from home through conversations, a good relationship, a good structured environment. So I thought that I could go out into the community and share with parents how to help underachieving children, how to help their children, all kinds of children, help them do well in school. So that's part of my mission now, is I go out and talk to parents about simple things that they can do at home to help their children excel in school.
Okay. Can you give us any specifics of the program that you have laid out to help parents?
Yes, I actually use what I call the success acronym to describe, to offer that solution to parents. And the S in success is to set high expectations for our children, because I believe that every single child is talented. Do you believe that?
Of course.
Yes, every single child is talented, is gifted. We're all gifts from God, so we all come with a talent and a gift. So if you are a parent and you believe that about your child, then you have to have high expectations for them. You have to know, trust, and believe that they are talented and that they can succeed. So that's what the S in success is for, is to set high expectations and create an environment, the environment at home, to help them excel in school.
Okay.
But you have to first know that they can. That belief, underlying belief. And then I use the U in success is to understand failure and frustration. That even when we know, trust, and believe that our kids will be successful, that they can achieve, that they are talented, we all fall short along the way in life. We all make mistakes. We all, fail. Frustration is an integral part of life. It's an integral part of success. So parents have to understand that frustration and failure sometimes will happen to their children, and not take it personal, and help their children deal with those failures.
Right.
So that's the U in success. And then the C in success is to create a stable home. This is so fundamental to our children's success. Creating a stable home means that there's stability, there's predictability in the home.
Yes.
Children love a predictable environment. It helps them feel secure, it helps them feel safe, it helps them trust you as a parent, that you're a consistent person, so they're more comfortable. And creating a stable environment entails 4 things. The first thing is to have a quiet home. A lot of our homes are very busy.
Yes.
You know, when children are trying to do homework, there's sometimes a lot of noise, you know, music, guests coming over to the house.
Right.
It's not very good for children to be able to do their homework in that environment.
Right.
So we have to be conscious about providing a quiet home for them to do their work. And then a second piece to creating a structured home is sleep and nutrition. Sleep
Yes.
is, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. We want our children to get enough sleep because they're processing high level content in school.
Right.
So their minds need to be rested. So we want to make sure that when they're younger, under the age of 10, by 8:30 they're in bed. The older kids probably have a lot of homework, so maybe 10 or 11 when they complete their homework, we want to make sure that they're sleeping. So sleep is very, very important, even for adults.
Yes,
we
it
all
is.
need 8 to 10 hours of sleep for our minds to rest, especially now with so much technology.
Right.
Yes, we're always browsing our phones, our minds, our brains are always busy. So it's important that children rest to be able to process the next day.
Yes.
And nutrition, sleep and nutrition is very important. Nutrition, we don't want to feed our children too much sugar. We're getting a lot of incidences of children who have ADHD and who have a lot of challenges with, you know, mental challenges. All that, I think part of it has to do with food, what they're eating.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So we want to make sure our kids are eating the right foods. And I know as parents we're very, very busy now, but we have to make time to prepare a healthy meal for our children or get them
most
something that's
definitely.
healthy. Yes. So that's the second piece in creating a home environment. And then the third piece is you want to be a good role model as a parent. Yes. Connecting with your child, having a good relationship with them. Being a good role model means that they look up to you as someone they admire.
Yes.
You want your child to look up to you, not someone else, because now they have a lot of people and things they could turn to inspire them.
Right.
They could turn to Instagram, they could turn to TV or Facebook and see people that they admire.
Right.
But you want to be a dominant influence in your child's life by how you live your own life. You want to, you know, talk to your children about what's important in life. You want to talk to them about their future, why education is important. So having those conversations really help them see you as a good role model. And then a fourth part to creating a stable home environment is having a good relationship with your child. This is so critical, Shesheta. This relationship piece is very fundamental. And when I look at it now, a lot of parents are losing touch with their children.
Yes.
Because there's so many things happening now that children can turn to. So a lot of parents have lost that contact, that relationship with their children. And an important part of developing that relationship is helping your child have a good self-image.
Yes.
How do they see themselves? What words do you use to communicate how they should feel about themselves? What is the tone in which you communicate with them? Do you value them? Do you respect them? They're children, but they deserve respect as well. So we have to be careful how we talk to our children. And also connection. There are a lot of parents who have lost connection with their children. Like I mentioned in service the other day, there are parents in the hospital whose children don't come to see them.
Yes.
That must be a very difficult situation to be in.
Right.
Where when you need love the most from the people you love, they're not there because there's a strain in the relationship.
Right.
So we have to consciously, as parents, do what we can to nurture a good relationship with our children by how we speak to them, how we make them feel, how we validate them. It's a conscious thing that we have to do and not take them for granted. You can't just walk in and throw out words and walk out, and
Right.
you have to deliberately use the right words that will not nurture that relationship.
Yes. This C in success, it already has so much in
Yes.
it. Just the C, creating a
Ex-
stable home. And it's
Yes.
something that we as Black people, we struggle with.
Yes.
And it's amazing how if we just alter that one aspect, how it could have an effect on our children's performance in school.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's profound.
Shisheta, that's a very huge piece, I tell
Mhm.
you, because as a teacher, I see how we relate to our kids. We're not conscious about it.
Yes.
We have to be conscious about it.
Mhm.
That the way that you behave, the things that you say, and how you say them
Yes.
are very profound.
Mhm.
You know, there are a lot of people who have self-esteem issues, who have mental issues, who have emotional issues as a result of the words that
Yes.
someone used on them
Yes.
and how those words were uttered.
Mhm.
So we have to be conscious about that. That can
Right.
really change someone's life.
Mhm.
So that's a very important piece. And I
Mhm.
want to encourage every parent to consciously think about the words that you use and how you use those words on your children. And then the other C in success is to conquer distractions.
So many distractions.
There's so many distractions. And it's fun, you know, looking at Facebook or Instagram, we all are human beings. We like to be connected to one another. We want to feel like we're in a society, in a social space. It's a natural thing. But we can't let that go against our own goals and dreams.
Yes.
It can't set us back.
Right.
So there are many people who use social networks to grow million-dollar businesses, but there are other people who use it to fail, to drop out of school, to ruin their own lives. So
Right.
it really depends on what our children are using it for.
Mhm.
So as parents, we have to keep talking to our children about how that can harm them and how that can benefit them.
Right.
So that's the C in success, the second C.
Mhm.
And then the E in success is to encourage our children to learn 3 essential learning skills. The
Okay.
first essential learning skill is to listen in class. The second is to ask questions in class and do your homework.
Okay.
Listening in class means you're attentive, you're learning the content, because like I mentioned, teachers have 1 week to stay on the content. After that week, they're moving on to the next standard.
Right.
So we want to make sure that our children are listening while the teacher is teaching, because if they don't listen to the teacher, there's no other way they're going to learn that information except they
Right.
take the teacher's manual and read it on their own.
Mm.
And children can do that.
Right.
So if they don't listen in class, the information is passing them by and they're not learning. So every time you send your child to school, you want to make sure that they're listening to the teacher, they're paying attention. And if they're paying attention and still don't understand what the teacher said, they can raise their hand and ask a question for clarification. So you want to encourage your child, give them the courage to ask questions in class and not care about what other kids are saying, who's
Right.
saying what, who is looking at you. And that's a very important way of raising a leader. A child who doesn't care what other people think about them,
Yes.
who has their own best interest at heart,
Right.
and will go after what it is that they want for themselves.
Yes. Yes.
So we want to encourage our children to ask questions in class for clarification if they
Right.
haven't understood. That's a very important piece that I share with my students also. And then doing homework is very essential as well. When children have been taught a standard, the way that they master that standard is to practice it at home.
Yes.
So teachers will give homework based on what has been taught in class, so then that students can come home and practice that standard at home. So listening, asking questions, and completing homework those are the 3 essential skills.
And it's important for the parents to continue to follow up with that, correct? Because the teacher has 1 week to teach the lesson, but we as parents can still keep reinforcing that lesson so the child
Absolutely.
isn't left behind.
Yes, absolutely. And I usually don't expect parents to know the content,
Okay.
because we want to raise children who can take independent responsibility for their work. Because they're the ones in the classroom, they're the ones listening, so they should be able to come home with what they've learned and complete their homework on their own.
Okay.
So a parent's job is really to supervise, to make sure the environment is quiet, to make sure kids are doing their homework and applying what they've learned at school to their homework.
Okay.
So sometimes when parents try to help children with their homework and do it in a way that the teacher didn't teach it in class,
Yes.
there's tension. Children
Yes.
feel frustrated.
Yes.
But I didn't learn it that way, Mom. They feel
Yeah,
frustrated.
I've experienced that.
Right, they feel frustrated. They want to do it the way their teacher taught them to do it. And they don't see you as the expert, quote unquote. They don't see the parent as the expert. They want to rely more on their teacher's lesson. So when our kids have listened in class, when they're listening and they're paying attention and they've asked questions to clarify, then they should be able to complete their homework on their own.
Okay.
And all your job is to provide the environment, a quiet environment for them to be able to do that.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So that's the essential skills.
Okay.
And then the S in success is to study. There's no way of succeeding in school if you're not studying. There are some kids who are very smart, who can figure things out on their own, but generally speaking, you have to study.
Yes.
You have to read. And when kids are younger, from 10 years and under, I always encourage parents to read with them. This creates a lifelong love of learning for your child. They enjoy reading when you read with them. And it also develops a bond between you and your child. When you sit them down and you read a story with them, and you go through the pictures and you ask them questions based on the story. Who do you think are the characters in this story? What do you think happened? What do you think will happen next? Where did this story happen?
Yes.
You know, they enjoy that interaction with their parents.
Yes.
It's really good for them emotionally and intellectually as well.
Yes.
So reading to your child when they're younger, and when they're older, creating a stable environment for them to do their homework and for them to study. They have to always be reading. I shared the story of Myron Rolle. Myron Rolle. If he wasn't a reader, he wouldn't get to Oxford, and he wouldn't get a Rhodes Scholarship.
Yes.
He played college football, but he was a good and avid reader. You don't get a Rhodes Scholarship when you don't read.
Yes.
You know, so he was he studied. You have to read, you have to study.
Yes.
And you have to know that studying is not quote unquote punishment.
Yes.
It's the work that you have to put in to get the rewards at the end of the process. So studying is the S in success. And finally, the last S in success is to share a vision for the future. Because there's a reason why we send our children to school. There's a reason why they're going to school. So as parents, we have to help them see that reason.
Yes.
We have to help them develop a reason, a why, so that they can it's that vision that will pull them in to do the work.
Yes.
Because when people don't know where they're going or what they want out of something they're doing, they're not going to be motivated to do it.
Right.
So you have to paint a picture for your child. You have to paint a vision for them. And it's that vision that will cause them to do the work today. That vision is very, very important.
There's always this question of, why do I need to learn this? Why, you know, children ask this question all the time. Why is this important? How is this going to help me?
Right.
And we often fail to give them the reason.
Right. Well, we have to think about that reason.
Yeah.
We have to really stop and think and give them a good answer. And we think that they're not listening.
Right.
They're listening. That answer is very, very important. That can actually just make a difference right there if you give the right answer.
Yes.
So a child who will ask that is actually a child who's thinking about their future, who's processing, who's asking questions. That's a teachable moment to pass on that information to help them.
Yes. And I like how you mentioned reading. Reading just improves your comprehension level all around. So, I mean, whatever you're reading, it can help you in math, science, any subject. So,
yes,
yeah, I agree.
Absolutely, absolutely. When children learn how to read in the 3rd grade, children are expected to read fluently. We're not teaching reading anymore. So we're expecting that by the 3rd grade, a child knows how to read fluently, to be able to answer those higher order thinking questions.
Yes.
The questions are very dense. And so when they are good readers, they can easily read the passage, find the answer in the passage, and answer it correctly. And that reading is fundamental because it takes them all the way to high school to AP classes. They can take AP classes, honors classes. It prepares them for the SAT. It improves their comprehension skills like you just mentioned, and that's very important. You can't pass a test if you're not comprehending.
Exactly.
And comprehension comes from fluent reading.
Exactly.
So reading is very critical.
And for us parents as well, we should be reading.
Oh yes, I like that. You're going to a zone that I really love because I'm an avid reader also. I love to read. If there's something that bothers my mind, I would read on it.
Yes.
And that's how we should find solutions to everything in life, is to read about it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So why is education so important?
Right. I think education is important because it gives our children choices. There are 2 reasons why education is important. The first one is it gives our children choices. You can, when you're educated, you can choose. You have more options, you have more opportunities. But for me personally, why I really insist on my children being educated and pursuing their education is because I think education can remove them from poverty.
Yes.
I think education can spare them the stress that comes from not having enough money financially.
Yes.
I've lived in poverty. I know poverty. I grew up in poverty. And it's very stressful. And I've also been fortunate to live in a situation where I can buy what I can afford the things that I want for myself, where I'm comfortable. And it takes out the stress out of it. So I always encourage parents to see education as an opportunity to create a legacy for their children, a financial legacy, where they can have the disposable income to support the lifestyle they want to live.
Yes.
And so I encourage parents to put their children on the path to pursuing a passion that pays, because having money alone may not make you happy.
Yes,
There are many wealthy people who are not happy, right? Although that money is good. But you have to be doing something that you love, something that you enjoy doing. So pursuing a passion that pays, for me, is what education should be able to achieve for our children. That they're on, like Myron Rowe, for example. I love his story. He is pursuing his residency in neurosurgery. He's doing something that he loves. He's saving lives, and for him, that makes life worth living. But he's earning a very good income doing what he loves. So for me, that's what education is about.
Yes.
And also, if you don't want to be a neurosurgeon and you're educated, you can use your education to do something else, to pursue a different course of in life.
And a lot of Black people experience poverty, so we can use education as a tool.
Absolutely.
To at least for our children to, change the cycle. To change the cycle.
Let's be really honest about it. I mean, I know that there's something called political incorrectness, and when we advocate education, people may look down on it as you don't always have to be educated, or there are people who have dropped out of college and have been successful, or you don't necessarily have to follow the education route. I think we should get out of that thinking, because we can't compare ourselves to other people. Sure, some people have dropped out of school and become successful, but that's not your story. These people, when I've looked at a lot of these people, their parents were very, 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 very wealthy. Their parents were able to give them millions of dollars to start a business. Some of them, their parents were judges, lawyers, physicians, And then you have others who went to Harvard and dropped out, went to Stanford and dropped out.
Yes,
But we haven't even crossed high school.
Right.
You haven't even left high school.
Right.
So you can't compare with someone who's gone to Harvard. Not everybody goes into Harvard. Not everybody goes into Stanford. So
Right.
these people who are dropping out, they have opportunities. They have choices. They have blessings
Right.
that we probably don't have. So we really want to encourage all of our children to stay in school and to see education as an opportunity to help your family, to help yourself, to help your community, and to get out of, this cycle of poverty. The way out of it is through education. And there's nothing in life that's easy. Perhaps you think that education, it takes a long time, I don't want to study. But it's a choice, it's a decision. You make a decision that I'm going to study for the next 10 years to become a doctor. And when you're a doctor or a pharmacist or a lawyer, you can help your family. You can make such a difference, such a huge difference. So it's not a good thing when you're not studying, when you're not helping yourself, you're not helping the community. We have to think beyond just ourselves, what we want.
Right.
We have to think how we can use our smarts, our gifts, our talents, our creativity through education to create a wonderful life for the community.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show, Dr. Ambi. I wish we could talk more, but we're running out of time.
Yes.
But we're so glad to have you, and hopefully you can come back on the Black History Channel to talk more about how we Black parents can provide our children with the tools to get out of this cycle of poverty.
Right, exactly. Certainly. It was nice being here. Thank you so much.
Great, great. Well, I am your host, Shaysheta, and thank you for watching the Black History Channel, where history is made, told, for, to, and by Black people. We'll see you next time. Dwa Mary.